Is there any upside here? We've seen revenue falling, gross profit margin falling as well. Any rays of light around amidst the clouds?
Yeah, Caroline, the few things that I would point out would be that pre-tax margin actually went up quite a bit, and that's due to severe cutting of SG&A. So that's something to talk about positively.
SG&A just...
Sales, general and administrative expenses. So there's a lot of headcount reduction over there, which has led to some, PTI pre-tax profit expansion. The other thing is they are maintaining guidance of non-GAAP EPS for the full year. So that's something to look forward to. The thing that I'd be listening to on the call would be to understand the difference why the gross margins declined by such a big amount between last year and this year, and what the difference would be, going forward.
I know if we're just digging into some of those margins, it was quite a significant fall, wasn't it, overall? And we're seeing them down to 44.5%, down from 46.9%. So we're looking into those sorts of things. But there is still the ray of light of where the growth is eventually going to be coming from. They've been talking up their cloud part of the business, and in fact we saw revenues there climb some 35%. It's not enough, of course, to stabilize the overall ship, but they are seeming to be making the right investments in the new growth areas.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at both the cloud numbers as well as some of the other areas, you are seeing revenue growth over there. But as we talked about it several quarters in a row now, the legacy businesses are the ones that are declining, and it's not enough to offset. The cloud growth is not enough to offset the declines in the legacy businesses, and it will take some time before it lopsides, where you see the cloud businesses and the analytics will take over the decline in some of the legacy businesses.
Can you update us on the jobs perspective of IBM? Because, of course, this was a company that came out and sat alongside Donald Trump and said, we're going to be hiring all the time. We did our research, and it seemed that they had been making some significant layoffs. I'm typing in the loss function into the Bloomberg. In October, they laid off 600 people in Germany. What are we seeing in terms of employment at IBM?
As I said, cost cutting has been one of the big reasons why pre-tax profit actually increased this time across most of their divisions. So we will be talking, or we'll be listening it on the call and trying to figure out if they are hiring in certain areas, whether it's in the area of Watson, artificial intelligence, cloud, and in the area where there is no growth, either, they are laying off some people over there.
And lastly, I just wanted to ask about perhaps the core operating expenditures. Where else could be cut down? Because Credit Suisse has been saying the only way IBM can ever make its earnings per share forecast that they're going forward is by reducing core operating expenditures significantly. Apart from layoffs, where else could they be reining in their expenditures?
Well, layoffs is the big expense item, because R&D as a percentage of revenue is still healthy. It has been even compared to both the years. So it is really the cost cutting through employee cost, and again, large portion of that is in the legacy businesses where there isn't much growth, and they are scaling back on that. Overall,
Anurag, therefore, where do you see this stock price going, this company going? Are you relatively glass half full, glass half empty? Because the share price reaction after hours shows that many are disappointed.
I think we would want to understand a little bit once again that what was the reason for such a sharp decline in gross margins, whether this is just a product mix or simply a function of that the newer products don't have such a high margin and they are growing at a much faster rate compared to legacy software businesses, which were higher margin in business, which were high margin in nature. And as time goes along, whether they scale up and able to improve their margin structure. So I think that's one of the core reasons. The revenue shortfall was just about 1% more than what the street was expecting, but the EPS, there was an EPS beat. So I don't think the shortfall in revenue had that big of a deal, but I think it's the gross margin that we would want to know more about.